So here we are, and we've just come out of the why, which in the why we learned that we've been given a ministry of reconciliation and a message of reconciliation. And a ministry requires people. So that tees up the question of who do we share the gospel with, and who do we begin to make disciples of? So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to put if it's possible, do the best you can here. Put a line all the way through, actually through to the other side. I want you to put a line right through the middle if you can. Okay. And so what I want you to do at the top of the who is I want you to write people I know. Okay. Real simply, right like that. And then put a square around just to kind of bracket it off. And then down here, I want you to write people I search for. There you go. And do the same thing. Put a bracket around it just like that. All right. And so we're going to start here at the top where it's most intuitive is in terms of the who is people I know. And so the first thing you want to do is you want to put a bubble right in the middle there, not too big, but right in the middle. And then you want to put your name. And so I'm going to put my name. Obviously, you put your name. And I'm going to put Ross. All right. And so what I want you to do right now is I want you to think of four to maybe five people that you know that are far from God. You know them by name, or people that aren't following Jesus Christ right now. And so these can be friends, associates, family, just in any of those buckets. So I'm just going to start putting some names here of people, and I'm just going to since I'm training this, I'm just going to put people here. Uh, uh, let's say, for instance, I have a neighbor named Eddie, and Eddie's a great guy, but Eddie is a Buddhist, and he's far from God. And then over here, I'm going to put another coworker whose name is Henley. Henley's a good guy, and try to talk to him about Jesus a few times, but just not really interested. But at any rate, he's in my sphere of influence. And then I'm going to put my roommate in college named Jason. He's an atheist and doesn't believe in God. And then I'm going to put here my next door neighbor Terry. All right. And so what I want you to do right now is I want you to put four names of people that you know that are far from God. And so what I want you to do with your buddy, put those four names, and then just talk to your buddy about those four names real briefly. Don't take too long, and then we'll come back here in just a minute. So great, we do that, and then we come back, and I want you to write Acts chapter 2, verse 39, then put a colon right there. And then what you do is you have somebody read that passage, okay? And in that passage, it's where Peter says that this promise, which he just preached the gospel, first, I guess, evangelistic sermon, he said this promise is for you, for your children, and for all who are far off that God will call. And so we see here in the first evangelistic sermon, we see that this gospel was never intended just for us. It was intended for generations past us. So what I want you to write here is gospel is for generations. Okay. Should have wrote that a little cleaner there, but you get the picture. And then what I want you to do here at this step is I want you to think of one person on this list and just dream for a moment. And what would happen if the gospel got to one of these people and they took their identity as an ambassador seriously? What would happen is if the gospel got into their sphere of influence? And so I'm just going to take Henley, for example. Henley, I know, has a girlfriend. And so I'm going to put girlfriend there. Hopefully he would eventually share that with her. And I know Henley has a brother. He's talked about him. And also, Henley has his brother has a girlfriend, and he's talked about her. And also, Henley has grandparents in California, and I've heard him talk about them. And I know Henley's brother has coworkers, right? And so what I want you to do is I just want you to take one of these relationships and I just want you to dream for a moment and take it out a generation or two from him. And if the gospel got to this person, who could potentially hear the gospel or have an invite to a group or something like that? So just take it out one or two generations, all right? And then just do that real quickly, all right? All right. So perfect. So come back. And at this point, what I want you to do with your buddy is I want you to basically um, uh, explain to your buddy what we just did. People I know, my name in the middle, four names, Acts 2:39, gospel for generations, and then build out. Just quickly explain to him what we just did here. And then once you're done with that, go back and forth and each buddy explain what we just did. And then when you're done with that, I want you to pray for these four people that God would begin to work in their life and would give you an opportunity to share the gospel. So just explain it and then pray for those people by name. All right. All right. So we'll break there, and that would just take a minute or so. And then we're going to move our way down here. And the first thing I want you to do is people I search for is I want you to write Luke. I could write that better. Luke chapter 10, verses 1 through 9. And then what you do is you have somebody in the larger group read that. Okay. So they read it. And there's a lot going on there, guys. And we don't want to dive into all the commands and things going on because there's a lot of moving parts. But there's three things I want you to focus in on as you begin to search for people in proximity to you to share the gospel. The first thing I want you to see is in verse 2. Okay. Right there. So write verse 2. And then if you could write a guy, just a stick figure praying. And then I want you to say, right, pray for laborers. Right? So the first real significant activity we see there is we see that we need to start praying for laborers, to be a laborer and to pray for other laborers. Then I want you to look at verse 3, and I want you to just draw arrows going out like this. At some point, laborers have to go, whatever that looks like. There has to be some activity where we go or a ministry that puts us in front of lostness. Key thing there. And then lastly, another very key activity is if you could draw a little stick figure. Again, we like stick figures, don't we? And I want you to put a voice box right there. And then I want you to put proclaim the kingdom. Okay. So and that's in essence, that's the gospel message. And so there's a lot of stuff we can do when we go, isn't there? I mean, we can feed people, we can provide backpacks. There's all kinds of mercy ministries, and we should do all those things. But at the end of the day, we need to proclaim the kingdom and allow people to respond to that. So, as we are searching for people, we're praying for laborers, we're going and we're proclaiming the kingdom. So, at the end of the day, the who is most likely going to be people I already know, and it's going to be people I search for in proximity to me. So, what I want you to do right now is I just want you to, with your buddy, I want you to practice what we did down here, Luke 1 through 9, and then just talk through these three activities and then say, we're going to find people to share the gospel. It's people I know, and it's people I search for.